Who's better than Canyon? We're better than Canyon. We are live on May 22nd, 2012. It is episode 115 of the FTW podcast, the wrestling world in all its laughable glory. I am Harrison, and with me as always is Rob. Say hello, Rob.
Hey.
And Garvin. Say hello, Garvin.
Hello, Garvin.
Everybody else is gone. We have a skeleton crew tonight. Tonight we have discussion of WWE Over the Limit. Will Matt Morgan jump to WWE? And your emails and tweets? Whatever. Anyway, coming to you live. If you're new to the show, check out ftwpodcast.com for more about us and how to get involved. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Facebook, voicemail, text message, email. We're bringing your comments throughout the show. It's going to be a blast. You can join the live chat at ftwpodcast.com/live. Thank you, Hive Mind. You guys are awesome. You can also email us questions at questions@ftwpodcast.com. And if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag FTWLive. But first up, Rob, Impact, the one... So here's the thing. The question I have for you at Impact is the AJ Dixie Carter storyline. They've been dancing around it for a while, and that the 300-pound elephant in the room is, at some point, they're going to have to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about the fact that AJ Styles slept his way to the top. Are they going to do that? Are they not going to do that? At some point, they got to thrust that sword home. So what do you think about that storyline with Impact that happened on Thursday?
Truthfully, I think it's kind of shitty. I mean, anybody who's watched AJ Styles in action knows that the man's got talent. I can't believe WCW passed on him because I believe he tried out for WCW at some point. I know he tried out for the WWE and they passed on him.
He wrestled in the WWE. He had like 2 matches, I want to say.
Yeah. But
tag
they
matches,
were,
I think.
But I think they were like tryout matches. I don't think he was ever really
solidly
under contract with them.
Yeah.
But the point is, I can't believe that 2 major companies passed on this guy. I mean, anytime you see this guy wrestle, he can amaze you with what he can do. It's clear that that's how he got to the top of TNA.
Well, Rob, however, both WCW and WWE are run by dudes. So AJ couldn't sleep his way to the top there. How much do you hate me now?
Words cannot describe it.
No, you're right. It's a crap storyline. It really is. Even when they did the big reveal, everyone was like, seriously? This is where we're going to go with this? This is the... it's just...
And it's unbelievable because throughout his entire TNA career, AJ Styles has set himself up as a good guy. Somebody who's different from your average pro wrestler. He doesn't do drugs. He doesn't, he's got a very clean reputation. This is, it's a hard sell. I mean, now obviously I don't know what the storyline's got coming down the way, but from what I've seen right now, I don't think it's working too well. It's not getting over with the fans that well. TNA has to find a way to either move the storyline to something that's going to get over with the fans, give AJ Styles a chance to fight back and explain his point of view, or move on to something else.
Okay, fair enough. For the Knockouts division, I find it interesting that Gail Kim defeated basically the 2 people that everyone on this show was discussing that should take the title from Gail Kim, so it's almost like TNA heard us and said, oh, no, we write our own checks. I mean, what do you think about this, the fact that they are willing to push Gail Kim this hard?
I think that's, putting on my tinfoil cap for the moment, I think that's exactly what happened. I think this is TNA saying, fuck you, FTW podcast.
Oh, if only.
Yeah. If only we had that kind of reach.
The ear of Hulk Hogan. The things I would love to say to him.
The only addition for me that I can add to this is that, last week, or maybe it was the week before, we were saying that, it's still too early to push Brooke Tessmacher as a champion. And in the same breath, a lot of people are looking at Velvet Sky as not being the next champion, that she's really not at that level. And I can sort of agree on that. She is kind of haphazard at times.
You
Yeah,
shut your dirty whore mouth when you're talking about Velvet Sky. Not on this show,
Velvet
Garvin.
Sky, Velvet Sky is great on the mic, but I can see where you're coming from, Garvin. In the ring, sometimes she will have a great match, sometimes she gets a little botchy. Tessmacher, I agree, needs some more work, and I think that's basically what this match accomplished. You got the three girls in the match. They had a pretty solid match. It got the crowd involved, and it kind of builds stuff yet to come.
Yeah,
But I
no, that's a fair assessment. I mean, all you have to do is look at Tessmacher and Velvet Sky's match before Sacrifice. I mean, even then we were talking about how rickety it looked. These two just didn't look like they were just gelling. I mean, it was just like little botches all over the place. So, yeah, I think you're dead on, Rob, with that. That maybe this is like, okay, we got to get these guys warmed up. We got to build them up a little bit because right now they cannot hold gold.
right,
Uh, and
And I
and,
okay,
think this also
and
points to TNA's inability to stay consistent with certain groups. For some reason they were pushing Velvet Sky very hard. They even had her on the mic saying she's coming back for the title. The title is hers, and she's going to go through everyone. And then all of a sudden she was off TV and they were pushing Brooke Tessmacher for 3-4 weeks in a row and even gave her the pay-per-view match. So, I mean, for some reason they will not give Velvet Sky enough time to really push herself as that championship quality.
well, I kind of agree with that. But at the same point in time, I'm willing to trust TNA a little bit because I think to the Lacey Von Erich example, when she
excellent
first
point.
when she first came into TNA, the woman could not wrestle, which was god awful considering the family that she comes from and who she had been with in her career. But TNA whipped her into shape, and they got her into being a fairly decent wrestler by the time she decided to leave TNA and retire. Um, I think I think TNA is working on the same thing with Tessmacher and Velvet Sky. They realize that with Brooke Tessmacher and Velvet Sky, they have future stars,
Oh yeah,
and they want to develop them a little bit more.
yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it's just like Jet saying that Tessmacher are better than Velvet. So I don't know. Maybe just with Velvet Sky, it's just a case of the yips. But anyway, rest of the show, we gotta discuss it. Rob, Bully Ray versus RVD, or Bully Ray defeating RVD. Bully Ray clearly. So I'm sorry, I'm just done with RVD.
Yeah, I mean, this match we saw the same RVD. I mean, I've been one of the biggest RVD fans this guy's entire career, but he was back to the same thing we've seen too much from him. He looked old, he looked tired, and he looked out of gas. Bully Ray carried the match, and he definitely deserved the win, in my opinion.
You look like my mom's old Ford Escort wagon. You're done. Um, oh, chat's saying the opposite. They actually hate Bully Ray. Well, I don't know. I can see what you're saying as far as Bully Ray. It seems like that. I can understand where if you look at it, you're like, okay, they're pushing this guy way, way, way too much, and he's starting to look a little too over, like they're trying to jam him down our throats. But you gotta look at RVD and go, his past, his prime is so far behind him at this point, and now it's just the slow and gradual downhill coast. Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson in the match that I'm sure Garvin's nipples were just perked to see. I mean, what do you think, Rob?
It was pretty good. These two, when they get in the ring against each other or with each other, these two are prone to have some botches. This match was pretty smooth. I didn't see too much of that. Jeff Hardy actually managed to hit the twist of fate correctly.
Yay!
Yeah. Um,
Congratulations, Mr. Anderson. You get to go home under your own power.
yeah, no shit. And that's really all I can say about this match.
All right. Last one up on the card is the Kurt Angle versus defeating Samoa Joe in the Hey, remember me match. I get Kurt Angle. I understand his appeal. Samoa Joe is so over. I mean, what are they building here?
Um, to me, I think they're trying. To me, I saw this as a way to get Samoa Joe back into the big picture. Believe it or not, TNA did everything right with this match. These two put on a hell of a match. This was the match of the night in my book. TNA did things right by showing clips of the rivalry these two have had.
Mm-hmm.
Samoa Joe and Kurt Angle picked this rivalry up like it had just ended yesterday. And I think we're going to see some more of this. And if TNA is smart, I think they're going to use this as a way to kind of work Samoa Joe back into the bigger picture of TNA.
That's a really good point, Rob. I didn't even think about it that way. That's great. So from the chat, they're saying that they're informing me that, by the way, Garvin's nipples is trending on Twitter. So I just want everyone to know. Thank you very much, as always, FTW Live. If you want to join our conversation. All right. So SmackDown. Garvin, favorite moment about SmackDown, and it better not be Santino defeating Cody Rhodes.
You know what? Not to disappoint you, but I got excited for the idea that they might be pushing that feud. You know, a Cody Rhodes versus Santino Marella, title versus title. That's something we talked about. Possibly, maybe that's the direction they were going to.
Yeah.
As far as the in our pre-show for Over the Limit. Obviously, that's not what happened, but which is good. But still, I think overall they're putting Santino against some bigger named, solid workers, and he's looking halfway decent. He's getting to the point where you can start believing him as a good champion, which is probably why they decided to not book him at the pay-per-view, but instead whatever. That's another conversation.
No. Everyone listening, I want you to bullet point what Garvin just said. Because once I say what happened on Raw, it's going to shoot it in the face.
Yeah. Well, okay, regardless. Anyways, well, this was SmackDown.
Okay, that's fair. Right.
Anyways, yeah. Otherwise, the rest of the show was kind of boring. For me, at least, I thought it was kind of slow. Like we had a big Sheamus versus Randy Orton match. I think that went about 25 minutes.
It took forever.
Outstanding in the idea that it went 25 minutes, but actually watching it, I couldn't believe it was still going on. I thought for sure they have to be ending this soon. It just seemed like it was way too long, considering they should have really been building up the big four-way at the pay-per-view, not Sheamus versus Orton's feud specifically.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from with that. But like I was saying on our Over the Limit pre-show, I really liked how that four-way World Heavyweight Championship match was booked leading up to the pay-per-view. It was just nothing but you got these four guys, different combination. It was booked in matches. It wasn't booked in storylines. So you got to see these guys in the ring together, building heat that way, and it really got you excited for the World Heavyweight Championship match. And I got to be honest, Sheamus versus Randy Orton, while it ran long, did a great job of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just in that setting, it just seemed off.
Okay, fair enough.
So.
The other thing though is that, like you said, the show was kind of meh, and it's the go home show for Over the Limit. I mean, usually SmackDown isn't as important to the pay-per-view as, say, Raw is, but even in this case, it was like, if you didn't know that Over the Limit was, if you took all the Over the Limit graphics off the screen, you didn't know it was happening. Just because it was just so blasé in the ring.
Yeah. However, the one major positive that you can pull out of SmackDown was that they really did put some effort towards the Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk match. So they started to build that up a lot more, especially in CM Punk's match versus Kane. How Daniel Bryan got involved to basically have CM Punk obliterated by Kane. Really told a good story, and I thought that really led into their match in a good way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Okay, so anything else that stands out to you as far as SmackDown? I mean, did you think it was a good enough go-home show for Over the Limit, or no?
No, I don't think they did a great job this week. Even Raw was kind of meh at times. So, no, I think they could have done better. I think that they really were resting on the idea that Bryan versus Punk would sell itself, and that Four Corners match was awesome, and they didn't really need to do much more than those two things besides devote all of their time to the Cena versus Laurinaitis situation. So no, I thought it was okay.
Okay.
But
Well, that's fine. Moving on to Over the Limit. It happened. Take it or leave it. The pay-per-view that none of us were really looking forward to, other than really 1.5 matches, occurred. The YouTube pre-show. You know what? Before we do this, I just want a chance to gloat. Because not only did I leapfrog Rob in the draft to take fourth place. What? I also won the pay-per-view predictions and tied Rob, but most importantly, I won with Rob. So I am now in the lead with 2 correct pay-per-views with everybody else besides Mike and Scott and obviously Kevin. Kind of just languishing back there, guys. All tied for second. Don't worry, but you're all the number 1 loser to me.
Well, we're not keeping track of pay-per-views. We're keeping track of total matches, correct?
Whatever. I won. Point being. All right, so YouTube pre-show, Kane versus Zack Ryder. I mean, okay, look at the card as a whole, guys. I mean, Rob, what did you think?
I was watching this pay-per-view for one match. The one match I was watching it for, Punk versus Bryan, was epic. It did not disappoint me there. The 4-way match for the World Heavyweight Championship, that was pretty good too, especially since I won that and none of you other assholes did.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the pay-per-view was kind of meh.
Okay. That's a fair assessment. We talked extensively in the pre-show about the YouTube pre-show. We talked our pre-show about WWE's pre-show, and how it's interesting that they're kind of, since the last Extreme Rules, since the last pay-per-view, they've started to really push matches on YouTube before. Did you like how this went down, Rob? Buddy?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, Kane versus Ryder, I would like to see matches in the future that are a little less one-sided, both going into it. I mean, none of us picked Zack Ryder, and with good reason. And the prediction pretty much panned out to be correct on that. I'd like to see something a little more even matched, or, maybe use the YouTube pre-show match to, like we were talking about on our pre-show, to start a storyline or do something that's going to directly impact the pay-per-view. We didn't really see that on this one.
Yeah, maybe it's just something that they're baking in the background to do next time. Okay, so the other topic I want to bring up is the John Cena, John Laurinaitis thing. We knew Big Show was going to be a factor, and it was one of those things that we all kicked around the idea of what he was going to do. Is he going to hit Cena to get his job back? Is he going to get Laurinaitis to get his job back? What it looks like what happened is that he basically knocked out John Cena, allowed Laurinaitis to keep his job, and get his job back. Are you happy with that? Big Show's sort of heel turn that's happened so far? That's basically what happened?
Yes and no. I mean, on one hand, I'm not happy about it because, I thought I thought the Big Show was working well as a face. I don't really like the heel turn for him right now. But on the other hand, it's really the only conceivable way that John Laurinaitis can beat John Cena without completely destroying John Cena's credibility. After
he takes a fire extinguisher, a gas can, I mean, whatever the hell else. I mean, he just humiliated John Laurinaitis in the ring. If Laurinaitis somehow pulled out a win over Cena, yeah, like you're saying, it would just be, well, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
What do you think, Garf?
Well, I I liked it. I like the idea of Big Show as being a heel monster. That's something that we don't see enough. Big Show has been really like a pushover as of late. He's always being made fun of, or he's been like
Clumsy
the
elf.
passive aggressive guy, or just the passive on just about every feud he's been in the last 6 to 8 months, and it's getting really annoying. This allows him to be like that heel. He doesn't really need to talk a whole lot. He just needs to attack people like John Cena, and that's pretty simple. But I mean, I can see why everyone is complaining about it. I know that there are some people in the live chat who weren't necessarily happy with that when we watched it live on Sunday. Even now, people are still upset that once again we're seeing Big Show versus John Cena. But I think it works in this situation.
The problem with that is, Garvin, having Big Show versus John Cena, where Big Show's the monster. This is exactly the same storyline we had with Mark Henry about a year ago.
Right.
I mean, the exact same story.
And it's the exact same storyline we had the last time there was a storyline feud with Cena versus Big Show. I mean, now granted, it was fucking epic because I can remember. I don't know if this was like the last feud they had or a couple of feuds ago, but I can remember Cena diving off of like the top rope and Big Show punching him in midair and knocking him the fuck out.
Oh yeah, these two, yeah, Rob, you're absolutely right. It's fantastic, and these two are going to work a fantastic match. But the story, or the reason why, it's just so, I don't know. For me, it's over before it began. It's just like you're saying, Rob, again.
Right. I mean, and like you said, we just had this with Mark Henry. There are other uses you could have for Big Show. But I do see Garvin's point. I mean, the last 6 to 8 months, the WWE has really been destroying the Big Show's character. And maybe they think this is a way for him to kind of get some credibility back. Maybe, maybe with the Big Show, there's not much that WWE can do other than, okay, we're going to have him be made fun of for this. Now we're going to have him kill everybody. Maybe the onus is on the Big Show for not having that much range.
And who knows? Maybe they're gonna he's just like, well, I'm just trying to get my job back, or Laurinaitis is blackmailing me and says if I don't beat you up, I'll be fired or whatever.
It is a crappy storyline in that respect. I mean, that doesn't necessarily make sense. I would much rather him just be a heel because he can and no one can stop him.
Yeah, that's fair. World Heavyweight Championship match, 4-way match for the title. Sheamus still comes out on top. What'd you guys think?
Awesome.
I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic match. At the time, I was expecting it to be, beforehand when we were predicting like what would be the match of the night. That was my match of the night for sure. And I thought it lived up to basically every expectation. It didn't end in like a huge spot fest that we normally see. Like there was like a finisher here, a finisher there, and then they continued the match, and then more finishers, and then they continued the match. It wasn't just finisher, 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 finisher like we normally see. So yeah. I thought they handled it very well. I thought everyone that was in that match looked to have a realistic opportunity to actually walk away with the title, and Sheamus winning was a big surprise to me.
And Orton managed to not injure his shoulder when he pounds on the mat, signaling for his RKO, which deserves some credit. I mean,
little internet high five from Rob.
Yeah, considering he has injured his shoulder doing that exact same thing.
And he's not going to, Rob. You know why? Because he is banking points for me, man. And that is why I am in 4th place and you're in, what, 7th, 9th? You're in like 12th place.
I'm in 5th place, 2.5 points behind you.
Yeah, that's 2.5 points is a big gulf when you're out of the.
I think this is an irrelevant conversation we're having here.
Okay, number 6. WWE Championship, CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. Mike from the live chat. Here it is. Are you guys happy with how the Punk Bryan match happened? And the continuing feud. We'll talk about the feud on Raw because that's really where it further developed. The match, really the match to buy this card for. What'd you guys think? Was it worth the $60?
Can I make a possibly sacrilege statement about this match?
Be careful.
Yeah, whatever.
When I watched this match, the first vision I had in my head was very early HBK versus Bret Hart. It was that type of style, and they gelled so incredibly well together. I thought it was a fantastic match, and I hope that they continue to push it further and further because it can be the next Hart versus HBK as long as they both stay active with it.
I think you're dead on there, Garvin. I mean, and the feud between HBK and Bret Hart was very similar to the feud CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are having. Nothing really personal. It's just who's the best.
Right. HBK and Bret Hart got pretty personal.
Yeah, it did in the later stages. But when the feud first started off, it was just about who's the best in the WWE. Well, F at that time.
Okay.
And
I mean, we can go all day making comparisons. I mean, Daniel Bryan's style is very reminiscent of Bret Hart. I mean, you had, you have Mr. WrestleMania. Now you got Mr. Money in the Bank. I mean, you got four guys that have really put their stamp on who they are in the company. No, I think it's an apt comparison. I just don't think, the thing for me is that when you look at CM Punk and look at Daniel Bryan, even on paper, you're like, these guys are going to be amazing. But if you threw away everything you knew about Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and you just had it written down on two pieces of paper, you would think this match is going to be terrible. Because these are two completely different styles, two completely different schools of thought, two different ways of working a crowd, two different ways they came up through the business. I mean, you think there's no way this would work, and those two made it happen. Whereas Punk and Daniel Bryan, their styles, everything about them, it's just like, oh yeah, this is genius right here. How come it's taken so long to get to this point?
That's a good point, Harrison.
So but for me, this match, yeah, it was stellar. I mean, of course it was going to be stellar. I mean, what do you guys say? I mean, because going into Over the Limit, I obviously was wrong, saying that I think that we're going to see CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, hit, gone, and then that's the end of it. What do you guys think about the fact that there's going to be a storyline?
I think, I'm excited. I mean, like Garvin said, and like we were just talking about, I mean, this could be one of those next big defining feuds. I mean, this could be the next Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. This could cement both CM Punk and Daniel Bryan as legends, as maybe even Hall of Fame material for the WWE.
No, that's fair. You heard it here first, people. Rob predicted it, and now it's not going to happen because, like I said, TNA obviously hates us, so why would WWE like us even more? Apparently, the chat is comparing Bryan to He Who Shall Not Be Named. Punk Bryan, wow, from the chat, Punk Bryan needs an Iron Man match.
Yes, I love the Iron Man match.
Oh, of course you do, Rob. 60 minutes of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. I will not be able to stand up for a little bit now.
What's funny about that statement is, and we'll get to this during Raw, but a lot of the statements that were made, on Twitter and whatnot, was what they really should do is just give Punk and Bryan, an hour and a half of every 3-hour Raw from now on, and that would be fine.
Just sit back. You know what? Just put lots of butter on top of that popcorn. Give me all, but I know it's bad for me. I know I'm going to get tired of it. I don't care. Just put it all on there. That's what I want.
Here's how Raw is going to be from now on. We're going to have our normal 2-hour show, and then we're going to have Punk versus Bryan for the last hour.
And then they just come out and they do their thing. No, they're absolutely right. I'd sit there, I'd watch the hell out of that. Ultimate submission match at No Way Out for the WWE Championship. I really think that's probably the way they're going to go. WWE has no plans to do an Iron Man match anytime soon. It's just an hour. Yeah, also from the chat, I don't think it would work in this day and age, an hour match. I'm with them. I mean, an hour devoted to two guys, not going to happen. I mean,
And the downside to the Iron match is you've got to have both wrestlers in phenomenal shape and conditioning for it. I mean, and Iron Man matches take a lot out of the wrestler.
Yeah, so you're thinking there's no way in hell they're going to be doing much of a match the next day. And Daniel Bryan's kind of a risk taker. He's always diving through the ropes. CM Punk is always up top. I mean, these two
Yeah.
guys, I don't see it. I don't see it happen. I do see the ultimate submission match at No Way Out. I like that idea. I think that's a legitimate one, especially with
Yes.
the way that the match ended on
Ultimate Ultimate Submission is a good substitute for the Iron Man match.
yeah.
Or you could go to another classic. Maybe to set up the Ultimate Submission match, you could go to another classic that doesn't get used nearly as much as it should. The best 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, that's always a good, Iron Man light. If you can't do the 30, if you can't do the 60, you can't do the 30, you can still do a 2 out of 3, and you'll have a spot fest. It'll be a good length, solid match. There's a lot of room there to work with it. Okay, so that was Over the Limit. We're going to dive right into Raw, and I'm just going to preface it by saying, do you remember the past 3 weeks? Because Pepperidge Farm may remember, but clearly WWE wants you to forget. For me, Raw was hitting the reset button. Basically, we got Cena versus John Laurinaitis again. Orton versus ADR now. Jericho comes out and says, you know what, this storyline with CM Punk was kind of crap, so now I'm going to do it with Randy Orton. And it's just, to me, I'm looking at this going, the only highlights for me going into Raw are one, Christian, which we did not talk about with the Over the Limit, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Christian coming back, always fun to see. Jinder Mahal looked really good, actually. I'm going to say this, and it's going to piss off the chat, and I don't care. Jinder Mahal looked better than Christian. Christian had, I want to say, 3 or 4 botches. Jinder Mahal was solid the entire match. And I know the guy's low mid-card, everyone likes to scoff at him. Joe hates him, right? And he was solid. He was solid the entire night. Yeah, I mean, Cena beat the hell out of Otunga, which was going to happen. Daniel Bryan and CM Punk continued their storyline by taking that clever little make Kane, poke the bear, and then have it to where Daniel Bryan got caught holding the chair, so Kane beat the hell out of him. And then Cena Sheamus versus Dolph Ziggler, Swagger, and Tensai in a lumberjack match. And it degenerated into basically a battle royale. Then the locker room emptied and it looked like a Yankees-Red Sox game at some point. And then Cena goes backstage, runs into Laurinaitis, and then Show punches him out. And that's Raw. From the chat, Christian is better in the IC category than the world title. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Christian's good. That's the problem is you don't want to pigeonhole a guy, but you have to. He's probably the most solid mid-carder they have.
Yeah, I think it was great to see him win the world title. I mean, we were all supportive of that. When they took the title off of him, we were all pissed off. But looking back at it, he really wasn't that great of a champion. So yeah, I think for sure he's much better in this role than at the top of the company.
Yeah, he can't really carry a show. Like, I think that's the problem, is that he just doesn't have, I don't know, Captain Charisma, and apparently not, because he just, I don't know, it's like when you look at him, for me, whenever I see Christian, I see Edge without the Edge. I see Edge without the X Factor. If you take Edge and you shoot him full a little bit of horse tranquilizer and then you send him out there, you get Christian. Or if you hit Edge in the head with a brick, you get Christian. He's not as good.
But I think I think the best role for Christian is being like the test, if you will, for up and comers going through the mid card.
Now, are you saying test like you have to take a test, or test like test? Like test?
No, like a test match. If you've got,
still didn't answer my question. Do you mean like pen and paper test or the guy
yes,
test?
Pen and paper test.
Thank you. Okay.
You've got somebody who you think might be a good champion that you want to push on onto bigger things or something. You put them in a match, maybe for the Intercontinental title against Christian or everything, and see how well they work there. Christian could be a very good Tommy Dreamer type
Ooh, excellent
character,
comparison.
helping
Excellent.
to prepare people.
Uh, yeah, from the chat saying Captain Charisma can carry a show, he can carry ECW. That's true, but it's easier to get, let's say, 10 to 12,000 people excited, whereas getting an arena of about 40K, it's a lot harder. And chat, once again, problem with Christian is that he got his main event pushed too late into his career. I don't know about that. You
I think
know?
there's a reason why his push came so late in his career. I mean, even TNA was nervous about putting their world title on him. I mean, it's not just the WWE. I mean, both major companies that he was with were kind of nervous about him.
Yeah, he just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that I don't know. Like I said, you can just carry a show where you can kind of look at him and go, okay, yeah, if the crowd's dead, we throw him out there with a mic, he'll turn things around. Like Christian is not that guy. Beth Phoenix defeated Kelly Kelly, just made me laugh so much. Because to think Kelly Kelly was like the it factor 4 months ago, and now she's being squashed by Beth. Match was all right. I mean, it was just one of those things where it was like, it was all right for a Divas match. Once again, we have to make that caveat. And Beth Phoenix to
I
me.
can't agree with that.
Really?
I
looked
thought it
at
was an awful match, and it was awful from Beth's standpoint too. I mean, did you see the leg drop that she landed on Kelly Kelly?
Yeah, that was kind of lame. I will agree with that one. That was kind of lame. I like. Yeah, she does she does the thing bounce off the rope, and then
Are we sure that was a leg drop? I mean, that was my question. I mean,
It was either a leg drop or a heel to the chest, maybe.
it was bad. Yeah, that was pretty bad. I like the. I don't know. I mean, it had those little moments where you're like, hey, this is. I hate doing it because it's such a cynical thing to do, where you can put that thing up for a Divas match, but that was kind of how it was. Um, I was watching it with my wife, and she thought it was interesting that she. Here's the thing. Okay, so I wanted you to bookend the idea of Santino Marella being, hey, they're really going to do something great with this guy now he's got the U.S. Championship, and then he decides this is what you do with the U.S. Champion the day after a pay-per-view where you don't have him on. How do you capitalize on that? You have him intro ADR.
Yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You want to know what the U.S. title belt is? It is at the same level as a guest Ricardo Rodriguez.
Although, what they might be doing is building up the possibility between, not the Cody Rhodes versus Santino storyline that we thought that they were going to do, because it looks like Cody Rhodes might actually be taking time off. Instead, maybe they're going to push Alberto Del Rio into the U.S. Championship, race, and maybe put a feud there. I think that's a great idea. Is this a good way to do it? Start it? No, this was awful. But I like that outcome if that's the direction you're going.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Garb. I like that idea. I like the idea of ADR holding gold because the guy is really talented. But I hated this segment because all you see is when Rodriguez and Santino are trilling their R's at each other. I'm laughing and then I'm crying as I'm looking at that belt around Santino's waist, and I'm thinking, yeah, belts really don't matter in WWE anymore. They don't give a shit. It's all about the heat. It's all about the crowd, and it's all about the pop you get when the music hits and the T-shirt sales, and that's all they care about. The last thing I want to talk about at Raw before we kick it out is before we kick it to a thing from the live chat. AJ versus Punk. I was really high on AJ. I still think she's very, very talented. I'm looking for a breakout moment. The storyline of bitches are crazy and they need a man, that offends me to no end. That made me physically ill seeing that. And I'm like, you gotta be joking. Like, this is where you're gonna go with it. And it's such a bullshit thing when you look at, like, TNA's product and what they do with the women's division. And it's so powerful and it stands on its own 2 feet. And then you see, I mean, aside from all the ring entrances, I hate that, and I hate the pigeons loose, and I hate that Velvet has to get over the ring and, like, dry hump the rope or whatever. But the fact that they stand on their own in the ring, and then AJ has a segment with Punk where she's basically Oh, another, bitches are crazy and they need a man. It's just, it drives me crazy. Anyway,
Except we don't know where that's going. I mean, the thing,
it's
I think it's compelling. I actually like what they're doing with AJ. I don't necessarily get the same vibes that you're getting that she needs a man. I think there's obviously some mind games that she's playing right now with Punk. Obviously, she's still getting played by Daniel Bryan. I think it goes a little bit deeper than just that line.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, Garth, and I would agree that she could be playing mind games with Punk if it were not for the fact that Daniel Bryan is still playing mind games with her. It's hard to be the chess master when you're getting beat. And so that's the thing where it's like she can't just I mean if you had AJ if AJ and Daniel Bryan were not happening right now and it was only AJ and Punk, that's one thing. But the fact is we still have these three kind of dancing around each other and AJ's just coming off as of the three of them the weaker character. And it's just I'm looking at this, I'm going, no, she is far too talented for this. Mike from the live chat asked us, do you think that the Lesnar-Heyman Triple H storyline needed to continue on Raw? Do we need this every week? That's a really good question. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
No.
because they've got 3 hours to fill every week now.
Well,
Well, it wasn't this week.
starting at the end of July, sure.
Yes.
But the WWE is in a different time. They're not just putting on Raw. I mean, I believe there was some video packages for it on SmackDown, so you have to look at that. They're also building it on WWE.com. So sure, that's not reaching the entire audience. That's not reaching the entire Raw watching audience, but it's still a way that they are pushing it.
No, that's a fair point. The only problem is whenever they do whenever they do with like that storyline on SmackDown, the video package, it's not pushing it. It's just recapping what happened. So it's just reminding you of it. Advancing the storyline, I don't think it has to happen on this Raw. You have to address it next Raw. I don't think you can go 2 weeks of nothing
No.
on it because you risk it cooling down too much. Yeah, Triple H coming out is going to be a pop, and that's probably what's going to happen next time. Is Triple H is going to have to come out and lead this thing because right now it's kind of the storyline. The ping pong ball is being kicked to his court, so he's got to come out and do it. They did have, I mean, they kind of addressed it by having a what was it? They're having like a legal a joke. Basically, they're having WWE legal kind of explain how Lesnar and Heyman have a case for this thing, and they kind of mentioned it that you can go to the website and read up about it.
Right.
So they did something, but they didn't. Yeah, no mics, nothing out in the middle of the ring, nothing like that.
But this kind of storyline you can't really rush. You can't.
Oh, it's a
I just don't think there'll be enough material to be able to go out every single week and continue to push it in the ring or even backstage. I mean, there has to be some time where logically Triple H would be like, oh my God, there's two lawsuits. I better take a moment and talk to my legal team to figure out how we're going to deal with this before we address it.
Oh,
And
God,
that,
you're
and
absolutely.
yeah.
No, I'm sorry, go on.
And that's exactly what we're seeing. I mean, because they, like I said, they are taking the time to build that idea on WWE.com, and they're expecting more fans to visit them, both on WWE.com, over Facebook and whatnot. They're trying to reach their audience, all the way around, not just on one show.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Garv. This is a slow burn storyline. I mean, this isn't something that you can have happen. First segments on Raw, next segments on SmackDown, then within a week we got the whole thing resolved. And you're right, the fact that they're doing it so holistically is rather interesting. Um, oh, we're not moving on yet. This is a really good point from the chat, and then we'll move on. ADR's U.S. champion, basically from the chat saying Del Rio wins the U.S. championship and changes it to the Mexican championship like Lance Storm did in WCW. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be epic, and I can only imagine the meteoric heel heat ADR we get from that. The whole "they took our gerbs" the angle of it, you gotta love it. I mean, Rob, you with me on that one?
Yeah, it would be really a great way to push him forward as a heel, and kudos for remembering anything that Lance Storm did. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of people, if I throw out the name Lance Storm, have no idea who the fuck I'm talking about.
Well,
Yeah,
we
he
just
sounds like.
were talking about James Storm.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rob. Well, you hear Lance Storm, and you think either A, Rob screwed up, or B, he was an American Gladiator. I mean, I don't think I completely forget about the guy. All right, so yeah, that'd be epic. I mean, he custom makes a title, a la the $1 million thing, and there's so many great little storyline threads that are there. All right, so it is now time where you ask, we answer. You can ask us questions by emailing questions at ftwpodcast.com or send us a tweet at ftwpodcast using the hashtag AskFTW. You can post on our Facebook wall, facebook.com/FTW podcast. Mike asked us why the tag team matches are so boring. They're all the same. Face versus heel. Heel team beats on one guy from face. Face reverse one move tags and partner. Face reverses one move tags in the partner. Partner has 2 minutes of fame, and then the heel team steals it in the end. Do you think there's any way for WWE to make the tag team division more exciting? No, they don't care about the tag team division.
Well, yeah, that's the first thing they'd have to do is first they have to care about the tag team division, and then after that you have to bring in actual tag teams. You've got to stop this random shit of, well, let's take wrestler A and wrestler B, and we'll call them wrestler A, and we'll call them tag team AB, and throw them in and see what they do.
Miz show was awesome. Or Show Miz. Show Miz? Alright, apparently it wasn't awesome enough for me to remember what the name was. It was Show Miz.
Yeah,
Anyway.
there's definitely like a formula that they follow in just about every match. I totally agree with that. It would be nice if they did switch it up so it isn't always face team versus heel team, because that's basically all we get.
Yeah, the thing is though is that whenever WWE, the reason why this is happening, at least from my standpoint, the WWE doesn't care about the tag division. So what they're doing is they're building two birds with one stone. Let's build the faces in the face or in the shape of the heel. So that's how these matches have to happen. Is either they're building a storyline for pay-per-view, like they did for Extreme Rules. They have the tag match, and yeah, they got to push the faces over and make you want to buy, so that way the faces get their due. And then the other one is like they're doing now, where basically, like Rob's saying, Team AB has to get over on the actual tag team. Yeah, the thing is though is that whoever they usually pick for Team AB are usually established superstars, and the tag team they bring up are usually known as a tag team, and they got to do their, they got to pay their dues before they do anything. Chat's agreeing. They're saying, make it something brand new, like a first time ever tag team Money in the Bank match, or put them in a chamber match for the title, make it exciting. Tag team Money in the Bank. That'd be interesting. Although I'm not entirely sure how many people you could devote to it. So,
four or five teams.
You could, yeah, but could you really tie up 4 or 5 people in that? On a Money in the Bank pay-per-view that you would not want to have in the World or WWE Championship Money in the Bank?
Everyone that's currently on a tag team. I mean, you got to look. I mean, there's like the Usos, there's Hunico and Camacho, Primo and Epico. I mean, that's 3 things right there that have no place anywhere else.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, you might see R-Truth and Kofi, used elsewhere in Money in the Bank, but if they still have the titles at that point, they could easily fit into that mix.
That's right. What do you think, Rob?
I guess they could, but not really at the moment.
Okay, that's fair. Tony wrote in, said, do you guys agree with WWE naming Edge and Christian the best tag team in WWE history? No. And to back me up is the WWE in 2008 saying that the 4th greatest tag team in WWE history, and they had not competed in another tag team match after that announcement. So, oops.
Yeah, I thought that was really strange. I saw that, and I was trying to find the actual article on WWE.com, and ever since like their latest redesign, they've like hidden the news section. It's impossible to search. So I found it through Wikipedia. And I found the actual article that Tony was referring to, and then directly underneath it was the other article where it said they were named the 4th best tag team, which I thought was really strange, considering, like you said, they never competed in another tag team match, or at least consistently after that announcement.
Yeah. They hadn't done anything that would bump them 3 spaces. 3 spaces is all I'm saying.
And I can't agree with that either. I mean, DX, the New Age Outlaws, Team 3D, the Road Warriors, the list goes on and on of tag teams that were better than Edge and Christian.
Yeah, I can agree with that. The only problem I have with Road Warriors is I liked them. I love the gimmick. You know,
Do
they look
not
fantastic.
knock the Road
But
Warriors.
but I think they worked a little too stiff. I think they injured people. And I think when it comes to this, you gotta, you gotta push the envelope a little bit, but it always struck me that they pushed it a little too far. You gotta take care of the
Well,
other guy in the ring, is my
And
point.
that's why they were awesome.
yeah, and also they were coming from a time when like everyone hurt everyone else.
Yeah. No, I
In
just
the
always thought they did
80s.
it. Yeah, I always thought they did it to an excessive amount. I mean, that's just my thing. Look, I'm still saying that they're easily better than Edge and Christian, hands down. I just don't know if I'd put them at number one. They'd be my top three. But
Well,
yeah.
I'm not putting the Road Warriors at number one either. I'm just naming them as better than Edge and Christian.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I totally agree with that. Okay, so at Uso Oso, WWE just released a story about which guy would lose first: Brodus Clay, Tensai, or Ryback. Who do you think will be the first?
Ryback.
You're going Ryback, huh?
Yeah.
As far as the FCW draft goes, I surely hope so. But I'm thinking Brodus Clay is the only one. Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it,
know
it, it
Dylan
would be
is throwing
Brodus Clay.
darts at me right now. Somewhere
uh,
in California.
yeah, exactly. I'm kind of with Garv on that one, only because Brodus Clay is the only one so far that's moved on to wrestling actual matches. So it would be natural that next step would be him losing. But I gotta say, Tensai hovering around Cena so much with all these different matches and everything. I gotta say, at some point, there's gonna be a Cena versus Tensai showdown, and Cena's gonna be, Super Cena that takes down the monster Tensai.
Yeah, and there are a few in the live chat saying the same thing. That Tensai will be the first, and I can see that. And technically, he did get the first loss. Well, no, because
Well,
that was a no contest. Never mind.
exactly. Yeah, you can't really look at Monday and say that it was a loss.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, first singles loss. Yeah, okay. Oh God. Fulia Georgian won on Twitter. I don't know. Why can't you people just put like Jim Smith on your Twitter account? Jim Smith 7. We never get any of those people. Now you can talk about the news that makes me want to watch the TNA knockouts. Gail Kim being as she should be the longest TNA knockout champion. Blah. Man, grammar counts, people. What do you? I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, we've been talking about who's gonna be the one that knocks Gail Kim out. It's official. She's the longest champion. Do you think it's an apt moniker for her? Who'd she take it from?
Uh,
It
I
wasn't
Mickey
believe
Velvet.
James?
No, it
no,
wasn't
Wasn't it
Mickey.
Mickey
it
James?
wasn't Velvet.
No, it
I
wasn't Mickey. It was one of the beautiful people.
Angelina Love maybe
I no.
because you're out of beautiful people. Oh no, Madison Rain.
There it is, Madison Ryan. Yes,
Madison Rain.
she was the one who's the longest running.
Yeah.
And Gail. Okay, so
God, I'm sorry. I completely forgot about Madison Rain.
apparently so did TNA because I don't remember seeing her anytime soon. So TNA, Gail's longest champion. Is it apt? I mean, do you think she deserves it?
Uh, no, I really don't. Just because of the things we've been saying. She came back to TNA after leaving the WWE. TNA handed her the title without much real competition, and they've just let her languish as the champion. I think Gail Kim would be much better served as somebody chasing the title. And, she could put on a better display of her skills and everything. I think she would work much better without the title than she would with the title.
First, let me correct everyone. She did win it from Velvet Sky. That was
Velvet
at
Sky
Bound
was
for Glory.
no,
Velvet Sky was the longest champion?
No,
no.
no,
We're
no.
talking about the previous longest women's
Then that was
champion
Mickey
before.
James.
No,
Because
Really?
no. I
we were
thought
calling
no.
Mickey James the John Cena of TNA. Knockout
We were
Cena.
calling
Remember
her
that?
the John Cena of TNA because Mickey James always got a freaking title shot, much like John Cena always gets a freaking title shot.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, okay, well, regardless,
I'm
if
gonna
it
do
was
some
Michigan,
research of this. I'm sure
Okay,
it was.
uh,
okay.
we can worry about it later. It's semantics, nobody cares.
The longest reign combined days was Awesome Kong, according to Wikipedia. I'm just looking at Wikipedia. I'm
Okay,
trying to find
awesome
something.
Kong.
Okay,
Regardless,
awesome
Gail
con.
Kim,
Okay, that works.
Garv, what do you think?
Gail Kim, I do not think needs to have the championship. Do I think she deserves to be the longest? I don't know. The problem is consistency with TNA booking. They don't give everyone enough time to really do what they need to do. So, besides Gail Kim, there hasn't been a consistent push for anyone else in the Knockouts division to take it from her. We've had Brooke for a month. Prior to that, I can't even remember. It seems irrelevant for whatever reason. Yeah, I think for sure at this point it's good that Gail has the title, but they will need to move it off of her soon because it's
Okay.
getting stale.
Yeah, my thing is, I watch a lot of Formula One, and one thing they have in there, they have these things called pay drivers, and it's basically a driver who has personal sponsorship and brings a lot of money to the team. I'm talking millions and millions of dollars. So they always get preferential treatment over somebody who's more talented because the team needs the money. Gail Kim is basically, to me, a pay driver. She came over from WWE. She has name recognition. You got WWE fans who might have liked her in. I mean, look at this, Lone Ranger JT on Twitter right there saying, oh, I'm sorry, Falua Georgian on Twitter saying that that's why he watches the TNA Knockouts, Gail Kim. So obviously that kind of led to it. Does she deserve it? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of with Garmin. Consistency is key. But I mean, it is what it is at this point. Speaking of which, the Lone Ranger JT. So on our Twitter account, we kicked out Rex Hawkins and Titus and Young versus Sheamus and Cena. Bring the rookies in, and could this be the new Nexus, or is this the beginning of Corporation 2.0? Lone Ranger JT is saying Nexus version 3, possibly. And Styles Clash 10 tweeted back to us saying, looks like it, and this revolution is coming, seems to be a punk-led group to take them on. I think we saw a good majority of members of the revolution last night. Sadly, Kali was not one of them. What do you guys think? I mean, we've been kicking around the revolution thing. We got Rex Hawkins, Titus and Young. I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you see a stable there? Do you think we're going to see? Do you think that's a revolution? Do you think it's the new corporation type of thing? What do you think,
Uh,
Garb? What do you think, Rob?
no, go ahead. Garvin can go first.
Okay, Garb, what do you think?
Um, I think it sets itself up to be. There's definitely some. It feels like they're putting on this Civil War type feeling, especially at the end of Raw when you saw a bunch of the faces versus a bunch of the heels who were backing Laurinaitis. There's definitely some kind of uprising that's happening, but I don't think we can necessarily tie those kind of things directly to the revolution because there's no way to really say what the revolution is at this time. I mean, it could be anything. It could be one coming up. The latest rumor, which I hope is not the case, is it's a video game.
Yeah. When you told me that earlier, I couldn't believe it.
I really hope that's not the case because that's an awful way to build up a video game.
Yeah, especially
Um,
when you have Tensai coming back that way. You have you did Karma that way. You did Sin Cara. Now you're gonna do a video game that way? No, no, no.
yeah, you don't build a video game up like it's a storyline. I mean, then you have Suicide and TNA.
Rob, what do you think? I mean, do you see a new stable form in here, or do you think this is just
I'd
hey,
like.
remember these guys?
I. I'd like to see it. I mean, the thought of Sheamus, Cena, and Punk maybe being the leaders of kind of like this revolution group, taking on the heels and John Laurinaitis. I think that would be fucking epic. Um, and it could make for a great storyline if it's done correctly. And I like that they're bringing in a lot of the new talent and everything too. So it's not just a storyline revolving around like the old guys, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we're getting something energizing towards the up and comers, the Nexus crowd, or the NXT crowd. So it's interesting that we're starting to pay attention to that. So maybe that's just the whole purpose of this. Just kind of like bring these guys up, make them relevant, see what kind of crowd pop they get, just kind of warm them up a little bit. Okay, so speaking of which, the Revolution video packages uh, basically have taken a turn. They showed a couple frames of a guy's face. So pop on your speculation pants. Let's get this party started. We took those frames. Garvin expertly downloaded the video, analyzed it using his computer network, said enhance 4 times, and we posted it to our Facebook page. And the big guess and most popular, here it is, Matt Morgan.
Well, okay,
Michael.
let me. First of all, that's what the initial rumors were, was that it was Matt Morgan. A lot of the dirt sheets were saying this is like they threw in a picture of Matt Morgan from his first run in the WWE. So when I looked at the video, trying to find where that was, those were the only pictures that I could maybe say it was Matt Morgan, and it's similar, yeah. But there's no way that he's a part of the Revolution. I think they just threw that in to get us talking, just like they did with all the Jericho videos. I mean, because you heard, I don't know, obviously this is probably not part of this conversation, but Jericho came out and said that the little girl in his videos was just to add a creepiness factor. It had nothing to do with anything, yet that was like the one thing that everyone pinpointed on.
Yeah.
So I think this was just an Easter egg that they threw in, and it probably has nothing to do with Matt Morgan. But coincidentally, Matt Morgan is off TNA TV and mentioned that he might head to WWE if the opportunity arises.
Yeah, we posted it to our Facebook page. Jimmy, friend of the show, said basically hammered home that it could have been Punk. Joe popped on, said it was Chris Hero. That it's not Morgan. Bradley said looks more like Sandow. Derek said looks like the rat guy from NXT, Connor O'Brien. If it is Punk, it does kind of play into that whole he's building a stable Revolution, fighting the power, take down the man type of thing. But I don't know. If it's getting to that, if we have basically we have the charismatic, awesome guy that pops for the crowd. That's really exciting to see in the ring, leading a stable, going up against the establishment, corporate. I just see DX all over again, and I'm going, I don't want to see that again. That was so perfect. Don't do it again. Leave it alone.
Yeah, and just to bring up what's being discussed in the live chat, they're talking about the fact that Matt Morgan, was just in TNA, that there should be some kind of 90-day compete clause. At least the WWE puts that into their contract, so you can only expect that TNA does the same thing. But at the same time, I mean, he was written off TV a month ago, Rob? Is that correct? About a month ago?
About that. But it's also been pretty well established that TNA does not currently have a 90-day no-compete clause. TNA wrestlers routinely, while they're still with TNA, wrestle for other companies, and when they're done with TNA, they jump to new companies fairly quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. If there was a 90-day compete clause, let's just say there was. I mean, he was on TV a month ago. He was written off. There's no way to really tell when his contract ended, if it did end, in fact, So he could have just did a couple more shows, after his contract ended, so he could continue to build up Crimson and be written off of TV, as a good favor to TNA. It could be closer to 2 months that his contract has been up.
Yeah, that's fair. The thing is, though, when we first discussed the idea of who would fan wrote in the show and kicked the idea to us to see who we would want to see switch sides, go from TNA to WWE or WWE to TNA. Matt Morgan was my guy to go from TNA to WWE because I thought he had everything. He had the look, he has the mic skills, he has the in-ring talent. He has that kind of, when he walks into the room, you can tell it's, holy, Matt Morgan's here, I mean, he takes up space. So
and the WWE will not use him. It'll be like his first time in the WWE, which nobody remembers.
Exactly. Now, originally I fought you on it, saying that no, it'd be different this time. But I gotta look at it. I'm looking at TNA's talent, or the way TNA packages their product, utilizes their talent, and then I look at WWE. If Matt Morgan stays in TNA, he's a name in TNA. If he goes to WWE, he's gonna have 3 weeks of spotlight, and then he's gonna be another guy. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the opportunity at WWE is much greater. He'll probably sell more T-shirts if he gets a cut of that. Who knows? I mean, he'll probably make more money and all that stuff. But he's just going to be a flash in the pan. And in a year from now, if he doesn't make his mark quick, he's going to be falling for the wayside, and then he's going to have to go back to TNA. And it's like, I don't know. I would rather see him in TNA. I think there's more opportunity for him to do really, really well in TNA. From the chat, what if Revolution is something like right to censor? What would they censor, though?
The
People
only
power?
thing that I can think that he is referring to maybe is the whole feud between Ambrose and Mick Foley that they were trying to build up. How Mick Foley ruined the industry by bringing hardcore to the forefront, and maybe that's the only real connection that I can think of. But yeah, it would have to be something like versus People Power, or maybe it is People Power.
That's the Revolution. The people want people power.
Yeah. But I liked Right to Censor. I think it'd be a cool idea. But when WWE is already like in the PG era, what else can you censor?
Yeah, they've pretty much censored themselves.
There was blood in the Cena, segment with. I mean, there was that, and I think Tensai was bleeding a little bit on Monday. So down with blood. I don't know. All right, so that is it. You guys ready to jump into news?
Yeah.
All right, we're just going to run through this real quick. Gunner re-signed with TNA. Austin Aries re-signed with TNA. Good move, TNA. Brooke Hogan has been signed by TNA, and she will lead the Knockouts division. I think we talked about this last week. Backstage. No word if she'll work on TV at all, but she'll be bringing in new talent and evaluating current talent. From TMZ, we're told Brooke's duties will help up-and-coming, I can't believe they use this fucking word, she-wrestlers, develop their characters, help with backstage promos, even consult on entrance music. They're wrestlers. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. You don't have to... God. At WN Source on Twitter, tweeted us and said, that's Wrestling News Source. We had Leon last time. Said, how the hell Brooke Hogan managed to get her job without sleeping with someone?
She managed to get her job because her dad's in charge.
Nepotism to the nth degree. I don't know. I think last time we talked about this, Garvin, brought up the point. There is one point that's working in her favor. She has been around the industry her entire life.
Yeah, I don't want to defend this decision because I think it's not great, but I don't think it's as bad as everyone is trying to make it out to be. I mean, it's now becoming the quick, let's throw more fire into everyone hates TNA. Oh, they hired Brooke Hogan. That's awful. I don't want to talk about it like that. I don't think it's that bad. I think she could do a lot of good things depending on how it's taken care of. Hopefully, though, she's not on TV, at least not initially.
But the part about this that worries me is the bringing in new talent and evaluating current talent. I understand she's been around the industry her entire life, but she's never been a wrestler, which begs the question, what does she know about bringing in new talent and evaluating current talent?
Yeah, that's a fair point. That gets down to does the president need to have served in the military in order to command the troops? So you get into that debate, and we'll just go round and round and round with it. I'm sorry, Rob, but I'm leaning more towards Garvin. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because she has a lot more experience in the wrestling industry than I do, and I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt on that. It's being reported that Alex Shelley did not renew his contract with TNA, and many are speculating he could be jumping WWE. Oh my God, Alex Shelley is Revolution! You heard it here first. If that actually happens, I will lose my mind. Tony Nese has parted ways with the company, choosing to work a match versus the Great Muta instead of sitting on the sidelines. Ric Flair no-showed a few TNA events over the last few weeks. Surprise, surprise! Many think he is fighting them over money again. Surprise, surprise! And could be on his way out. Surprise, surprise! Although nothing is official, most are reporting that Flair's quit TNA. Yeah, right. And do we want to see Flair back in WWE? Yes. Adam Pro said, yes, I'd like to see him be manager to Dolph Ziggler. It could really help Ziggler get over and move beyond Vicky, who isn't really helping him anymore, and she could basically focus on Swagger. John Prack said, I think WWE should take him back. WWE can control him, and it's much more structured than TNA, and I don't think they'd use him more often than, say, Mick Foley, sign him to a Legends deal, let him get his paycheck, and use him every couple months. What do you guys think? Flair back in WWE?
Yeah, I think Adam Pro has a good point. I mean, that's why TNA originally signed Ric Flair. One of AJ Styles' big weak points was his mic work. Ric Flair came in and took care of that. Took took AJ Styles aside and said, "Here, I'm going to show you how to cut a promo." Ric Flair has a lot he could pass on to young talent.
But not to Dolph Ziggler. I think that's a bad pairing. Dolph Ziggler, he's great on the mic. He's a great wrestler. So I don't think Flair needs to be attached to him specifically.
Well, I'm not saying Dolph Ziggler personally. I'm saying younger talent in WWE. That I'm just saying that's why TNA got him, to be a manager,
Sure.
and help some people who had problems. So
I think he could help Daniel Bryan with his consistency on the mic. I mean, it seems like sometimes Daniel Bryan hits it and sometimes he doesn't.
Daniel Bryan could be a good pairing for.
Because if you look at Daniel
Flair.
Bryan, if you look at Daniel Bryan kind of leading up to, the past couple months, he's been pretty good. But then you look at him on Raw, and it was like, he got upstaged, like pretty badly.
I disagree.
That's because he's got a beard, Garvin. You're always going to disagree with me.
But like a Sheamus, he could do fantastic
Yes.
with Sheamus. I hate Sheamus on the mic. He could do very well with Randy Orton again.
I was about to say that could be his white whale. His orange whale could be Randy Orton.
God.
But yeah, for me specifically, I would like to see Flair in WWE again. I think it was obvious he wanted back in WWE during the Hall of Fame weekend.
I don't even think Ric Flair could help Randy Orton on the mic.
Well, hopefully he can help your mic. You've been sidelining all night. Sin Cara returned to action at a live show over the weekend. Surprise, surprise. He defeated Hunico. So that happened. Any odds that we'll see Sin Cara at any point coming up? I mean, Rey Mysterio's gone because of wellness issues. Or, with wellness policy or whatever excuse they want to give. So
we'll see soon, but I hope they're not sticking with Hunico specifically. I hope that he's at a point where he can evolve to other feuds. Like that was like his only feud. Yeah, I think we'll see Sin Cara fairly shortly, like maybe within the next week or two. But overall, they need to do something different with him, or he's not going to get over with us, at least.
Yeah, he's got to hit the ground. I hate this phrase, but he's got to hit the ground running. No, if he comes out and it's kind of if Sin Cara comes back and it is nothing short of astonishing, he's dead in the water. Just because he's had how many chances? All right, I want to apologize for this next one. 1 year ago, Randy Savage died. Speaking of which, a certain fan was a Slim Jims.
Yeah, he is in the chat, even though he changed his username.
Okay, yeah. You may duck us, but we will find you. So here you go. In honor of Randy Savage's unfortunate passing, Slim Jims. You owe us Slim Jims. Garvin said he found a bunch on Amazon for pretty cheap, so you can do that.
Search Amazon, dude. There's an assortment.
And you have to somehow get him to Lee at WrestlingNewsSource.com because he's in England and they don't have Slim Jims over there, which really surprised me. But I think it'd be really you could be the ambassador of bringing Slim Jims to a whole new area of the world. So hook us up, buddy. TNA goes live starting May 31st, finally. They'll be doing it for the rest of summer, and if it succeeds, they'll go with it. Here's to hoping they succeed. So everybody tune in because I think this will be. This is nothing but a positive move.
Yes, this is fantastic. This is everything that this was basically the one thing that we could all agree on that would benefit them the most is going live, and it's going to. And on top of that, that's also the night that they've updated the time slot to 8 o'clock, so it's earlier in the day, which is also fantastic.
Yeah, Garvin likes to be in bed by 10.
I do.
And speaking of big moments on TV, Raw, starting on July 23rd, which is their 1,000th episode, will be going for 3 hours every Monday night. Now, is that permanent, or is that just going to be, we're going to do 3 hours every night for a while, then we're going to go back to 2?
It's permanent, but that 1,000th is actually under controversy because apparently the IWC and dirt sheets are saying that's actually the 999th episode. And the week after is the 1,000th. But that's besides the point. Semantics.
You know what? You want to be pedantic about that? Go right ahead. The look at all the shits I give.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It is permanent. My only complaint about this is this week's Raw I thought was very boring. And the only thing that I can really attribute to, because they did do some okay things, was that it was the night after a pay-per-view. And if the night after a pay-per-view is another 3-hour show, it's going to be really difficult for me to watch the entire show and be enthused for the entire thing, as long as they're, so stagnant on a lot of their storylines.
Yeah, I'm always fighting Joe on this. I firmly believe that the Raw after a pay-per-view is always the one that's, you got to give them a little bit of leeway on that because it's not going to be as good. 3 hours? Whew, that's going to be rough to see. Picadillo on Twitter said, Jesus, I thought 3-hour Raw thing. Hang on, I'm going to read, can I read this like, Rodney Dangerfield? Oh, forget it.
Sure.
Jesus, I thought the 3-hour Raw thing was just a bad joke. This is really bad. Oh, God, that's terrible. Anyway, this is really bad. What's Vince McMahon thinking? He's thinking advertising time. He's thinking dollar signs. That's what he's thinking. Iron Mike FTW said, Raw is going 3-hour episodes after July 23rd. Do you think this is a chance for other talent to get TV time? Yes, but on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think once the fact that Raw is going 3 hours, SmackDown has just become the B show, and that's the one where we're going to see all the guys. We're going to see Tyler Rex on there. We're going to see all the guys that normally get squash matches against Tensai or something. They're going to be wrestling on SmackDown. So. The Dirt Sheets are reporting that there's a lot of people within WWE who are dreading the change, aside from the logistical issues that come into play when taping Raw on the West Coast. Basically because Raw would begin taping at 4:30 p.m. local time on a workday. There is a looming risk of burning everybody out. Writers, wrestlers, fans. Some people in WWE think Raw will be back to 2 hours before the end of the year, with the possibility of the first hour eventually being moved to the WWE network as a 1-hour pre-show. I'm with them. I don't see 3 hours forever. Because then you're talking 5 hours of content week to week, plus another 3 hours for a pay-per-view, plus NXT and Superstars or anything else they want to do on the internet. Unless they're going to start ramping up their staff. Yeah, their writing, the storylines are just going to get so vanilla. What do you think, Reb?
Yeah, I agree with you, Harrison. It's going to be really hard for them to do 3 hours on a weekly basis. It's just not going to work. Like you said, it's going to burn out talent, writers, fans, everybody. I think they're going to end up changing it pretty quickly.
Yeah, Jesse said the 3-hour shows are never that good. It's like they always feel pressure to have a long show, so it's filled with really boring skits and backstage scenes and feels like there's a lot less wrestling than the 2-hour shows. If we hated creative before, they're going to get heat for sure now from all ways. Don't think it'll last. Yeah, the winners may be the wrestlers and the bank accounts, but I can tell you the writers, they're just losing on all fronts with this one. Time for win, fail.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win.
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
Of the week.
Win, fail, wins of the week. Your win of the week. Go, Rob.
My win of the week has to be since somebody else is probably going to cover it, I'm going to pick as my win of the week the Samoa Joe Kurt Angle match from TNA. Was an excellent match, and here's to hoping that what I said is correct, and TNA is actually looking to push Samoa Joe back into big storylines.
Okay, fair enough. Garv, your win of the week.
My win of the week has to be Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk. It was a fantastic match. Everything that we expected it to be, everything we hoped it would be, and it looks like they're going to continue it. So kudos on that front.
Okay, my win of the week is the fact that Lassie had 688 episodes. That's astonishing. The fact that the show had 688 episodes of Lassie, Timmy fell down at a well again, rough, that had almost 700 episodes. So the fact, I'm starting to think that maybe WWE can fill 3 hours with vintage Orton and his Dices are talking to him again. So maybe they can fill 3 hours with that. Fails of the week. Your fail of the week, go Rob.
My fail of the week has to be the title situation with Gail Kim. I don't think Gail Kim needs to keep the title on anymore, and they really need to find a way to remove the title and find another female wrestler to put it on.
Okay. Garv, your fail of the week?
My fail is actually me, because I failed to mention that we finally saw Damien Sandow on SmackDown in a match. Although it ended in a no contest, it still was a match. And he looked very impressive, I thought, in his beat up of Yoshitatsu. So yeah, that's my fail of the week. Also, the live chats fail, though. On the counterpoint to that is Sandow's pink tights.
I love the chat.
What are we, fashion police now?
Did you see those tights?
No,
they were very old school, like 80s heel pink.
Yeah, they were electric pink. It's the only way, like electric in your eyeballs, electric. My fail of the week is the sad realization I had watching Raw, which is, yeah, I know Johnny Ace isn't injured, but if he was, WWE would pay for his injuries, but not any other wrestlers.
Yeah.
That was a sad moment when I realized that. Chat saying, oh god, Cena hogs the spotlight and refuses to let younger talent work. Nope, not exactly. Laurinaitis' rash guard. Nah, yeah, I can go with that one. Fail of the week, Beth, weak leg drop at Sandow's colorful attire. Yeah, that leg drop is so lame. Oh, my other week is the People Power logo on the front of the Rascal scooter as Johnny Ace is wheeling around backstage. That just made me laugh hysterically. Just this big ass, like I was saying in the pre-show, he looked like he was running for mayor of a retirement home. Beep 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 boop. People power. Beep beep beep. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. You can support us by buying a t-shirt or rate us on iTunes. If you want to buy us a shirt, head to ftwpodcast.com/live. I'm sorry, ftwpodcast.com/merch and head up and buy a shirt. They're totally awesome and pretty cool designs that you can show off that you're a better fan than every other fan, which is really the whole point of this. Rate us on iTunes. We always appreciate it. For more information about us, visit ftwpodcast.com. You can find us on facebook.com/ftwpodcast, twitter.com/ftwpodcast, youtube.com/the-ftwpodcast. You can let your voice be heard and join us on the show by leaving us a voicemail at 313-444-FTW4. That's 313-444-3894. You can also email your questions to questions@ftwpodcast.com. Thank you guys in the live chat. You are the hive mind, and you are the reason why this show is awesome week after week. We record every FTW Podcast episode on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on ftwpodcast.com/live. So if you want to join them in making fun of us and Damien Sandow's shorts, check it out. And we'll see you next Tuesday. Later, player.